assignment. Value X was buying property in Buffalo Valley, North Dakota. Since Vaughn was going to be in the vicinity, visiting his parents in nearby Grand Forks, Natalie had asked him to pay the town a visit. It wasn't uncommon for a community to put up token resistance to the company's arrival. In most cases, any negative publicity was successfully handled, using a proven strategy that included barraging the local media with stories showing the company's human face. After a recent public relations disaster in Montana, Natalie was eager to avoid a repeat. She'd asked Vaughn to do a climate check in Buffalo Valley. But it was important, she insisted, that he not let anyone know he was now a Value X employee, not even his parents. Vaughn had reluctantly agreed. He'd done this because he trusted Natalie's judgment, and because he was in love with her. They'd talked about marriage, although she seemed hesitant. Her reasons for postponing it were logical, presented in her usual no-nonsense manner. She refused to be subservient to emotion, as she called it, and Vaughn was impressed by her clear-cut vision of what she wanted and how to achieve it. They'd get married when the time was right for both of them. He was eager to have her meet his family. Natalie would be joining him on December 27th, but he wished she could have rearranged her schedule to travel with him. On this cold Friday afternoon 2 weeks before Christmas, Vaughn had decided to drive into Buffalo Valley. Because of Hassie night, he didn't need to invent an excuse for his parents. Hassie was the mother of his namesake. She'd lost her only son, his parents' closest friend, in Vietnam 3 years before Vaughn was born. Every birthday, until he'd reached the age of 21, Hassie had mailed him a letter with a $25 U.S. savings bond. In all that time, he'd never met her. From first grade on, he'd dutifully send her a thank-you note for every gift. That was the extent of their contact, but he still felt a genuine fondness for her and gratitude. Hassie had been the one to start him on a savings program. As a young adult, Vaughn had cashed in those savings bonds and begun acquiring a portfolio of stocks that over the years had become a hefty nest egg. An hour after he left Grand Forks, Vaughn slowed his speed, certain that if he blinked, he might miss Buffalo Valley entirely. Value X could put this place on the map. That was one benefit the company offered small towns. He wasn't sure what kind of business community existed in Buffalo Valley. He knew about Knight's Pharmacy, of course, because Hassie owned that. Apparently the town was large enough to have its own cemetery, too. Hassie had mailed him a picture of her son's gravesite years earlier. Buffalo Valley was directly off the road. You didn't take an exit the way you would in most places. You just drove off the highway. He slowed, made a right turn where the road sign indicated. The car pitched as it left the pavement and hit ruts in the frozen dirt road. He'd gone at least 100 feet before the paved road resumed. He passed a few scattered houses, and as he turned the corner, he discovered, somewhat to his surprise, a main street with businesses lining both sides. There was even a hotel of sorts, called Buffalo Bob's Three of a Kind. The bank building, a sprawling brick structure, seemed new and quite extensive. This was amazing. He wasn't sure what he'd expected, but nothing like this. Buffalo Valley was a real town, not a cluster of run-down houses and boarded-up stores, like some of the prairie towns his parents had told him about. Hassie's store caught his attention next. It was a quaint, old-fashioned pharmacy, with big picture windows and large white lettering. Christmas lights framed the window, flashing alternately red and green. In smaller letters below Knight's Pharmacy, a soda fountain was advertised. Vaughn hadn't tasted a real soda made with hand-scooped ice cream and flavored syrup since his childhood. He parked, climbed out of his rental car, and stood on the sidewalk, glancing around.